talk about anime endings. So, we all love openings, right? But since we do love openings because of how dynamic they are and how popular they become, we do not tend to give the same treatment to anime endings. Why do we do that? So, here's what I think though. In my personal opinion, this may happen because as we are growing up, we are watching movies, we generally never see the end credits because, it's just a bunch of text, so we are used to skipping them every single time we watch a movie or a TV show. However, in the case of anime, we have a pretty beautiful song video, but yeah, we tend to skip that because of that habit we have built up over time. Another reason would be the fact that obviously Netflix and, well, even 9 Anime have the option to skip it, so we tend to follow it because that's literally such a popular choice at this point that a lot of people skip them. And finally, because, well, let's get to the point. Well, a lot of people like skipping it because, well, it allows them to watch and finish the show faster. Yeah, who doesn't want to do that? The faster you finish it, the more time you have to watch other shows and do other stuff. So that's what we end up doing. However, while we tend to skip these anime endings, we actually end up missing a lot. And, well, a lot of people don't know this, but I pretty much do think that anime studios want you to see endings, and here's why you should not skip them. So the first reason I would like to give away straight up is the fact that a lot of endings have post-credit scenes. Now here's the annoying part though. There is no fixed pattern on when this happens. It can happen in episode 6, episode 7, it can happen at any episode, and these post-credit scenes are quite entertaining and fun to watch, sometimes even vital to the plot. Yes, that happens. So on top of that, I would also say that these end up adapting missing chapters of the manga that are not present in the episode. So be mindful of that. So yeah, for example, like in One Punch Man, this happened a lot. So for example, in the earlier episodes and even in episode 6 or 7, this happens a lot in One Punch Man for one. One Punch Man is probably the best example I can think of. So yeah, a lot of anime have post-credit scenes that you miss because you skip the ending. And on top of that, let's move on to the next reason. So my next point would be that a lot of people assume that the ending is lower in quality just because, well, the ending is pretty much never as hyped up as the opening. While I would say that may have been the case for a lot of shows, older shows, I don't think this trend has been valid since 2010 and onwards for anime. Or, well, to be fair, 2009 and onwards. Or, well, since ever. But yeah, I think a lot of people assume that the ending is maybe lower in quality, but in my personal experience, and, well, in the experiences of everyone who hasn't skipped them, it tends to be the case that they end up actually enjoying the ending. So that's something interesting that I have noticed, and it definitely raises an eyebrow because this is something that's not as popular as the opening. So yeah, you are missing out on really good music, by the way. The music in the endings is so much better than the openings a lot of the times, and on top of that, there is also great animation in the endings. Often anime like to use cute chibi style animation, and at other times it's really high class quality, which is even better than the openings. Sometimes the ending has a lot of better quality than the openings, but sadly a lot of people skip that. On top of that, here's a reason why I personally think that I'm pretty convinced at this point that studios want you to see the ending because, well, obviously it's gonna add to their watch time if you are watching their show. But the reason is that because you can see how much effort they put in the ending. A lot of the times the ending song has more effort put into it than the anime itself. So that alone pushes the point that studios want you to see the ending, and most likely they do. Why wouldn't they? It adds to their watch time on top of that, and there's obviously a lot of effort put into it when you focus on it. And let's move on to the next point. So finally, if you skip endings, now this is the most important, you miss out on very fun foreshadowing. For example, this was done in JoJo's part 3 ending 2. So this, yeah, as well as a lot of other endings for shows such as Dragon Ball Super or, well, literally any anime I can think of, Bakemonogatari. And yeah, there's no fixed pattern to what kind of anime this happens in. It generally happens in all of them. Yeah. The endings also carry strong foreshadowing. Now, foreshadowing is not the same thing as spoiling, because the same thing you see can be interpreted in many different ways. And sometimes, and actually a lot of the times, this foreshadowing is not even that obvious. It's literally so hard to interpret, but still, once you see this show and once you finally finish the episode and then you go back to the ending, then it makes sense. You won't understand it while you're watching it, so yeah, it's very symbolic and not quite direct, so don't expect to be spoiled. But hear me out, here's the fun part. Once you see through the episode and you go back to the ending, it really hits hard, because the scene, the impactful scene becomes even more impactful and you become more vehement about it, and the ending actually facilitates that to a very high degree. That's something to be mindful of, and yeah, it actually accentuates your experience. You're gonna thrill you got from seeing that scene alone is actually gonna be increased if you have seen the ending for the anime. So yeah, I'm not saying that you should watch the opening and endings every single time, but at least try to watch it a few times and not skip them always. So yeah, here's why I think you guys are missing out on quite quality great music, as well as something that has a lot of effort put into it, on top of the fact that it has cool foreshadowing and characters in it. So here, yeah, with that out of the way, here were my reasonings for why you should actually not skip endings and actually watch through them. So with that out of the way, the only endings I can actually think of would be Oshinoko, as well as Jujutsu Kaisen, that aren't really overshadowed by the opening entirely. But yeah, regardless, watch endings, guys. And with that out of the way, if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to like and subscribe. With that out of the way, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Bye, gamers.